me. Like, I have to go.
You're live.
Are we on Facebook?
We are live.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Hello,
See,
world. This is Kimberly and Connor here with Big Red SEO. Are we seriously live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh my gosh. Okie dokie. We are here live with you. So, a couple funny things. We decided to pack up and come and I don't know which camera I'm looking at because we're in a different environment. We decided to pack up and come and work from home, if that makes sense. Few things. One, we have been, what's the nicest way to say, balls deep in projects, which is super freaking fun.
That's the nice way of saying it.
Nice way to say it. And onboarding companies as well as helping existing clients. And I've got to be honest, I woke up today after a course of really intense work in coding last night. And I woke up and I did more coding this morning. And I think I touched already today like 9 projects, which as I'm sitting here doing the projects, I'm like, gosh, like, you know, like we have a lot of clients that come to us and be like, how do you do all the things and how do you become okay without getting overwhelmed? So we decided to just off the seat of our pants kind of flow and give some tidbits and some feedback on that, right? Because as you grow in a business, like what you think you could accomplish in one moment is something completely different than something else that you can accomplish, right? And everybody always talks about they want money in the bank and they want to make income and they want to do these things, right? Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes what happens is we don't look at the capacity of what do you have the mental capacity to handle right now? What do you physically in your calendar have the ability to handle right now? What do you need to tighten up? Which this guy here is really good at automating systems and auditing. And sometimes he audits to the point where it drives me fucking bonkers. I gotta be honest. Because I'm all like, no, get out of my way. I'm optimistic. I'm a superhero. I can do anything I want, right? And then sometimes he'll see me, like, my batteries will start to drain. And he was like, Kim, like, you need to go for a walk. You need to take a moment. So either case, as I was working yesterday, I was kind of like going through things and I was like, oh my gosh, if I would read my list out loud to myself and I had like 30 items on it, I could easily get overwhelmed. And I remember in the olden days, I would do that. I would be like, oh, I have all this stuff to do. I would get overwhelmed. And then I would just say...
And not just that, you would then come to me and say... Here's all the things we have to do. What's on your list?
I wanted some company in my misery, right? I wanted company in my being okay with things being overwhelmed, right? But here's the deal is what I did yesterday, which I think everybody does, is I just did one thing at one time. I had a master list, right? But I just focused on doing one thing at one time, one thing at one time, one thing at one time. And then I personally... Law of order is my jam. So like I love making lists and I love crossing them off. It makes me feel really, really good whenever I strike through like a death, like I'm going to cut the paper in half. Sometimes I do it like lightly so you can still read it.
Yeah, but you make the list and then I don't know, 60 seconds later, you start to go through and start remove things. I'll write down things I've already done.
So here's the deal. Yeah. But here's the deal. Like my personality, right? Like I will do that. Like say that I do these things and I don't have them on the list. I'll go back and write them on the list so I can cross them off. It is just who I am. I'm not the only one that's wired this way.
So you're literally giving yourself a pat on the back for doing work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the reason why, right? Because like 1, we all do lots of things, right? 2, I know what works for me. So why would I not do that? Now,
Sure.
I like some days I don't put all the things on the list, right? But what I do is I actually keep that list until it's no longer relevant. And then what I do is I transfer things over and I start to look at what happens weekly, what happens daily, what happens monthly type of things, right? I start to look at the behavior and I dive in a little bit deeper. But the whole point, circling all the way back around, is as I was working yesterday and I was going through these lists, I was like sitting there and it dropped in and I was like, holy shit. Like I think yesterday I worked on 16 projects, right? And whenever you look at the 2 of us, so Big Red SEO is Kim and Connor, and we do have some awesome contractors that help us with writing and getting some stuff organized and stuff like that. But the majority of it is us now. And throughout the process of owning this gig and running this gig for 9 years, you know, for a while I had the seed planted in my head that you needed people to be able to help you to do these things and you needed to hire and you needed to do all this stuff. And I'm not saying that you don't need that at some point in some area. And we're talking about possibly adding to our team in the future if it's the right person or the right position. But I think that you've got to like really hone in on your mindset to figure out what capacity can you figure out how to master yourself, right? My old self would not have been able to tackle as many projects as I did yesterday and be okay with shifting and being a little flexible with myself this morning, right? Because I would have just tried to dive in and in the doer, I would have just gone right into doing, right?
Well, speaking of this morning and really yesterday, I mean, this is basically what's happened here in Omaha. We got another 5 inches of snow. We've gotten... the roads into work, they sucked.
Side note on that picture. Put that picture back up for a second, guys. What you don't see with this picture is Connor actually fell into the snow 3 times as he was coming over to me. It was good. So I don't know if he's going to actually share the video because the volume didn't come through, but it was actually a really good experience for me as a wife, watching my husband like romantically come over. And granted, he wasn't romantic anything.
Nothing romantic about.
He was just trying to get to me to snap a picture.
Yeah.
But it was like his sexy romantic walking over to me, and then he fumbled 3 times, and I just kind of like giggle laughed. And
that was purely
here, let me help you out. Let me rescue you.
Yeah.
Isn't this great? Did I mention it's Women's Day today? So just let me have that one. Let me have that one. All right, guys. But back to the whole thing in this whole scenario. For you guys, like as you're running your businesses, you're going to wear multiple different hats, right? Figure out what system works for you. So like for me, again, it's the paper list. It's crossing things out. It's leaning on this guy for automation, right? I know in my brain that automation helps. However, in my brain also, I know that there's a seed where I automatically resist it. I will fight. Like I have fought with him, like to the bare death. I'm like hanging over with a pinky on the cliff saying, no, 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 no. And then whenever I surrender and I let the automation work, I realize that it does work, right?
Well, even just, it's little things for the automation end of things. I'm not asking for, let's automate the whole system or I'll take the time and automate
Yeah, because we still
video.
answer the phones, right?
Of course, we answer the phones, but even the smallest part of the automation being an email template, okay? And I'm not saying that it's a good thing to do templated emails out, especially with prospect clients or anything like that. But if there are certain things that you always put into your emails, you should have those saved as a template somewhere. Pull that paragraph, put it in. If we're always saying, we need 5 days in order to do this part of an audit, then that should be copied and that should be in the email and off you go. Yeah. So when I'm talking about automation and there's a software, there's a tool that we use called If This Then That.
Yeah.
So it's the IFTT system. So
sounds so dirty.
Basically, an email comes in, and if it comes in and it has this subject line, then trigger this other event.
Yeah.
And that's how my system is all automated. But you don't have that.
Yeah, but here's the deal. It's like for me, for automation.
And you don't need it.
For me, for automation, the newest thing that I've done is activated Calendly. Right? Yep. So like whenever it's appointments, I can email back and forth a Google Calendar.
So can you
explain, Maureen, how are you?
Can you explain Calendly?
Yeah, so we'll put these links down in the bottom whenever the video's done. But Calendly, I think it's Calendly. It's like
It's calendar.
So it's not calendar. There's no R. They take the R out. They take the E and the R out. So it's Calendly. I don't know how else. So the C word, so the C tool, see it's Calendly.
Calendly.com.
So this is going to be the difference between me saying dachshund and Connor saying
dachshund.
See? It's 2 total different words, but it's the same thing. Okay, so anyway, this tool specifically, we use the free version, I believe. I do think they have a charge version,
yes,
but anyway. You can go in and you can create different meeting types, or you just have one master meeting and you can put when you're available in your day. So like I can send that link. So if I've got a prospect or a client that's requesting time or whatnot, so whether it's the design, the SEO, the coaching, the mentoring, whatever it is, I can send them my availability and then they actually can click the time and it blocks it off into my Google Calendar automatically. So I get a notification. But the cool part about it is I used to waste tons of time with this, guys, right? So I used to go and look at our calendar and figure out. So at one point I used to offer like 5 or 6 different time slots. And then I read somewhere, no, it's confusion, offer 2, maybe 3 max. So 2 is ideal, right? But either way, so I would try that, but then there was always back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
So you would pick whatever time it is that you're available to do it.
Yeah.
Then you'd mark it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Temporary.
Yeah, I would put tentative,
meeting,
right? Tentative, and then our calendar would be filled with possible tentative meetings.
I would look at the calendars like, well, I need a 30-minute meeting with the client.
Yeah.
And, all of this is marked as tentative, and I can't give any of those. So
and we have our own. Like, you have your calendar, I have my calendar, we have a Big Red SEO calendar. Yep. So I just had tentative fucking everywhere. So it was horrible.
With Calendly, the advantage is that there's no more of the back and forth. Oh, Thursday at 2, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Well, no, 2 doesn't, but how about 4:30? Well, I'm booked.
Or,
and
telling somebody, hey, I'm available between this time slot, and they're like, okay, great, that works. And then you have to come back and be like, okay, so you want 2, you want 3? So anyway, I actually activated that. I would probably say it was last month. My last client, I finally used it for that as well. So I've been making a rule to use it consistently, and it has saved me a lot of time and a lot of headache, right?
And we used it actually for, there was a meeting that we were doing that was spread out over multiple weeks.
Yeah.
And they needed 2-hour time blocks on different days for different weeks. So we were able to put all that into the calendar system, and then they were able to pick what times they needed, and then it just blocked out and we were off.
And it's super easy because it puts it on their calendar as well as yours. Now, granted, Google calendars can do the same thing, and you got to figure out whatever your jam is, right? If you love coordinating and looking at times and dates and all that jazz, go ahead and do that. For me, it was easier for me to just master plug in, okay, on this day and this day, I want meetings between these time slots, and then they get to choose what they want, right? The other part too is you can block out completely that you're unavailable on certain dates. So like, say that you're offering a service on Saturdays and Sundays only, you can block Monday through Friday off your calendar, and it can never be available for them, right?
Yeah, so I do some webinars with different people, and we'll need a 15-minute window, and they'll block out, here's 4 hours of 15-minute blocks, and you just pick what 15-minute you want. So that was kind of advantageous. With the paid version, if you require payment before a meeting or before a particular thing goes on the calendar, you can actually hook it up in through PayPal, and the person must pay before the meeting is scheduled on the calendar.
Yeah.
And that's an advantage for any number of reasons.
I am a huge fan of paying for services before they actually happen. I don't think anything else needs to be said by that.
It just went kind of really quiet.
I remember getting paid after, and I remember getting paid before, and I remember getting sticky and thinking that it's not the right process because somebody else said, no, you couldn't do it. And then I activated and do it. I'm not saying that we don't sometimes take payment afterwards. It depends on the situation. But what I can tell you is there's a different level of respect whenever the transaction's already been paid, they're going to show up. Versus if it has not been paid, it's a little bit easier for somebody to cancel or reschedule or not show up. Not to say that they won't do that anyway with them paying, right? It does happen. But it kind of takes the confusion out. It's probably one of the best things that I learned and best things that I implemented right out the gate, because we know that whatever's on our calendar, we're already paid, we're already working, we're already chunking through. So it takes the stickiness away. Like I do know, especially when it comes to website designers and marketers and people that do social media, graphic designers and all that jazz, they kind of run into that. They do the work, they issue an invoice, and then they're still fearful they're not going to get paid.
Yeah, weeks later, they're chasing the payment.
Right? But or there's like an initial fear that the person's not going to pay them for the work that they did. For us, we just decided to cut all of that wasted energy out of the equation and just charge up front, or it's a 50% now. And we also instill that we keep our credit card on file in our payment system too, right? So like they know the dates that it's going to hit on their payments. So then the equation of the payment just kind of goes away. It's not sticky anymore, right? Again, like it depends on what kind of service and business you're in. If you're a contractor and you're performing a service, it might be traditional for you to invoice within 30 days after. Not saying that you have to do that way, right? It's unique based on every business, but what I will tell you is when it comes to the marketing, the web design, graphics design, it is at least get a project deposit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right? At least get a project deposit so you're not working for free.
Yep.
Essentially.
And even when we do project deposit end of things, we work up until that part of the deposit is spent. And then we get the next installment or the next milestone, whatever way you want to word it.
Yeah.
And then you work until that point, and then it's the final payment and you're off.
Well, and here's the reason why we did that. Actually, I'll get pretty vulnerable and I'll share a story. So we did a website design, and this is before we knew the deposit, before we knew all the jazz, right? So we did a website design. We actually built the design. I'm pretty confident we actually went live with the design. So that's another, whatcha! Don't ever do that. So we built the website. We went live with the website. And then the person came back and tried to negotiate to pay us, I think it was a fourth of the original cost from the design.
Essentially, it was, well, I'm not going to pay that, but I will give you this much.
Yeah, I have this much that I can give you in cash.
Yeah,
And we're like,
take it or leave it.
No, like you owe us this other part. The only thing that saved us is that we actually owned and managed and held the web hosting part. So we actually still had the design. It was underneath the client's URL. And we worked it out. We did whatever we needed to do to energetically, integrally feel good for ourselves, right? But what I can tell you is it was like by far the best lesson that could have possibly ever happened, and it happened really, really quick, right? So like that's the other part too, is sometimes whenever these business things happen, even if it's like kind of shitty and you're like, oh gosh, I wish that wouldn't have happened. Going back and looking at what was the lesson or what was the golden gem that you learned from it, because that was whenever I personally started to get pretty stern on payments and started getting pretty stern on development servers, and we put it on our own server and we owned everything until the last person paid. Or if we do a payment process, we have them sign something, or there's a different stage of the scenario.
And it can happen on any level, whether it's a $200 item or, we've done projects that have been $20,000.
Yeah.
And you just don't know until you end. If you're taking just a 50% deposit on $20,000 and then hoping to get paid your other $10,000 at the end.
It's just from an energetics stress level, like that to me it just feels heavy and stressful. So why not break it out in chunks? And if you could talk about it at the very beginning, it's better, right? But here's what I can tell you, at least what we experience. The majority of our clients and the majority of our prospects don't have a problem paying us. They actually don't even have a problem with our payment terms, if that makes sense. Like I think I came across one person that was like, we don't pay. I think I requested 50% up front, and they're like, we don't pay for any work until we see the results. And I was like, you know what? I don't think that we're the right business for you. And we actually stepped out of the engagement completely. Still love and appreciate the person, but it wasn't energetically correct for us to step forward with that, because for us, we have to make sure that we feel good with it. We feel confident with it. And if it's got to be my way or no way, like at that point, it's not a good energetic exchange. And then so we just stepped back, right?
Yeah. And we had the pedigree of whether it was 300 or 350 clients at that stage that didn't have an issue with it. One does along the road. Yeah. And you just step aside and you move forward.
Yeah, and the thing is like you just cut cords with it and you move on. And if somebody wants to come back, then you have that conversation, right? But you've got to figure it out. But here's the other thing too, is like if you're demanding 100% up front, and maybe like in your industry it's like 50%, or they need to see something, then I think at some point you have to get realistic, mainly for your own self too. Because if we have experienced, especially locally, some really horror stories when it comes to website designers and them just disappearing overnight, right? Yeah. And these people paying 100% up front for website designs, and then they just close shop and they're gone, right? Yep. So like at the end user, we're not just talking about the developer side, we're also talking about the business owner side. Figure out whatever's comfortable, and then just look at the terms and determine what is the best next step.
Right. I certainly wouldn't, go to somebody and say, oh yeah, it's $5,000 and I need 100% payment.
I mean, maybe he would. Who knows? I would. Conor was like, I've got some new bike I want to buy. I don't know.
I guess it would depend on the item that's being going on.
It would be a great day if you asked for a sale at $5,000 one shot.
I've been doing better. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about different goals and different things that we're working on. One of the things that I've been getting better at is asking for the sale. And
you have been.
From a programmer's end, it's asking for money, it's just the worst thing possible.
Oh,
so why
soften that a little
her,
bit.
so.
You're really good at it. It's no longer worse. You're really good at it.
But as a programmer, that's kind of the mindset that we've had. You know, and I've been doing it since the 90s, and it's just that's the way it was.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Even the begging for money at the end of the project.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
everything's done, and your project's been live for 3 months. Can I please have payment?
Yeah.
You know, that was the way it used to be. It's not that way for us because of how you operate.
No.
But I have been getting better about asking for the sale.
You are.
But asking for $5,000 up front and having nothing else there, it's a stretch for
you.
A lot of people
I
to be able to
remember
swallow.
one project. It was one of our highest at that time design projects, and you actually did ask for that. It was 5 digits. You asked for it. So you've got it in you. And the thought process is, in life, if it's happened once, it can happen again.
It can happen again.
It's like,
sure.
It's an oxymoron. Like, if you've done it once, you can do it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think for you, part of, and this, people might actually adjust with this. He's been doing really good about asking for the sale, which is helpful for me, right? Because, like, then at that point, we can do more onboarding and more client communications and so forth. I think the area that gets a little sticky for you, 21. I think the area that gets a little sticky for you possibly is it's like, hey, here's the work. This is what it is. This is the estimate. This is what we need. Do we have approval? Yes or no? I think it's the credit card part for you. Mm-hmm. I think it's let me write down your credit card or let me send you this link, which whenever you are able to just push that task onto me and be like, okay, great. Kim will reach out for billing. Yeah. We'll get everything set up.
Kim will send you an invoice.
Then it comes full circle, and that's easier for you, right?
Yep.
So I do think that that's like kind of it as well. And I think for that part, it would be because the intention is being split. You're being the troubleshooter, you're being the solution provider. Oh, and then on top of it, you're asking for the sale, and now you're the accountant and a biller.
Right. And even from that, from a troubleshooting end of things, it's it might take 30 minutes to figure this out, or it might take 5 hours to figure it out. And then it's like...
Sometimes you don't know until you get it.
Right, and then it's the perception, and it strictly is the perception. My perception of what other people perceive about what I'm doing. Am I dragging my feet so that I get a high bill rather than a low bill? And I'll be honest with you, I have so many other projects going on that I don't want to drag my feet on a project just to make extra $200-300 when I've got the other projects on the other side that are going to make more money. So, but that is the perception of me perceiving that from a client, and that
Yeah, it's anyway. like you've created the story in your head, right, guys? And you guys could probably align with this. Like as you're talking with prospects, right? Or you're looking at somebody or a client and you're like talking to them about how you could add more value, right? You might actually be putting projections and perceptions off on the client that they're not even thinking about it or considering. Mm-hmm. I actually had one coaching client that was in the middle of a contract, right? Providing services for someone, already got payment 1, was throughout the process of their next term for payment 2. And 2 to 3 weeks prior, the language started of that person believing that the client wasn't going to pay their bill. And I was like, no. Cut cords with that. Get rid of that in your head. You do not think about or consider that. You step forward. You do the service that you have and hold the space of the client is going to pay you and continue to invest, right? Because the thought process is if we create those stories in us, then something's going to get sticky and something's going to break, or we will actually create that reality where somebody won't pay a bill. Well, why even create that, right? And there's deeper parts in that.
You start to slow down what it is you're doing.
Yeah, or
your effort.
Or you sabotage yourself and you drop the fucking ball, right? Yep. Because you have this perceived belief somebody's not going to pay you, so you're like, well, why even work? And then you sabotage yourself and you create unnecessary drama that just doesn't even need to be there, right? But it's very natural for us to put those off on to our prospects and our clients, and that's just not the space for it, right? You can't be in an abundance growth mindset in your business and then worry about lack and scarcity at the same time.
How did we get here?
I don't know. It's
talking
just
about
us. It's about business, right?
It's about business. Calendly. We were talking about getting the payment. That's it. We were talking about getting the payment ahead of time on Calendly. So here you go.
You just never know. You just never know. So what else you got on your list? You got any cool updates for us?
I have a couple of things just real quick. There is a massive update from Google with regards to Chrome. If you do have Chrome, click the update. Google is pushing it out, but there's an exploit that they're really pretty heavy on right now.
Yeah.
A couple of new things came up. Dwayne Forrester, who's actually, he used to be the webmaster liaison for Bing. So when we were working with Bing stuff for SEO, he was the guy who ran everything.
Yeah.
But basically in a panel there earlier this week, he said that Wikipedia has lost 21% of all their traffic.
Wow.
Because Google is now using the featured snippets.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of having to go to a website to learn something, there's now a paragraph at the top of the page. So 21% is what Wikipedia has lost.
That's crazy.
So when you think about that for your own websites, if you're answering questions within your website and you get that featured snippet,
Yeah.
you're getting that double bang. You're getting the featured snippet at the top.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get a map listing and then your website
Right.
down below.
Yeah.
So definitely work on those featured snippets to get those in. So, but I thought it was a staggering stat of 21%. That's just insane.
Another part too is for Wikipedia, it's kind of been a little weird the last couple of years. They've requested donations, so I think that might actually have to do with the traffic as well. Because it's I mean, you can still get in and get for free, but they do put it in your face of, hey, put a donation.
But that's because technically they don't run ads on their website.
Oh, gotcha.
Now they are a sponsored, and they are a company that makes money by providing that information out to other places, but they don't run advertising, and the collection of the $2-3 twice a year, whatever it is, it's kind of like a donation thing.
Got it.
So just asking to be to running things. Let me see the other one, big item, Yelp. How am I doing?
You got like 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
You got a bullet shot.
Yelp has a new thing called the verified trade license.
Yeah.
So just like Home Advisor and all that kind of stuff, where you can now get a badge, and basically Yelp is saying that for $1 a day, $365 a year, you can get a badge on there that says that it's Yelp verified, that your trade has been verified. So
fascinating.
In order to get that verification, it's strictly for trade industries. So we're talking plumbers, healthcare, moving companies. We're not talking house cleaning companies.
Right. Okay.
So it has to have a trade license.
So like kind of like a contractor, like they have a number.
Like a locksmith has a license and stuff like that. So those guys, right now it's only in a couple of different states. So Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, New York, Texas, and Washington.
So they're testing it.
So they are doing a test, and that'll go out then to everybody.
Cool.
So that's a big one.
Cool.
The second one is Moz made an update to their system. It updates the domain authority ranking.
Yeah.
So the DA field. Basically, it redid the whole thing, and now everybody looks at it and says, oh, my domain authority dropped and I'm losing rankings. You didn't lose anything. They just updated their algorithm. So don't worry
Connor's
about
getting
it.
wound up over here.
But the thing is that all of the different spammers out there are now sending out the spam emails saying, did your domain authority drop?
Yeah, they're going to
purchase these new links so that you can increase it. But you didn't lose anything. It's just a different way of looking at the numbers. So, so that's a big one that came out. We're going to see a lot more spam in the next couple of weeks.
Like last week, the end of last week, we actually received a letter from a directory listing company that looks like an invoice that we owe it, but in the center of it, it actually says this is not an invoice. This is a solicitation for internet marketing directory listings, right? So like just be on the lookout for specific areas that you will actually be getting mail of people trying to say that you owe this, not owe this.
Right.
So instead, side subject, just look at it to see the small print of, is it a solicitation? Is it not a solicitation? Sort of thing. So you know that.
All right. And then give me just 1 minute here. We've got an item just to wrap.
He's like trying to zone and then not.
And then here we go, and then I'm back here in 2 seconds, and there we are. We're back now.
Yeah, and everybody's interrupted now. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, in the case of, it is very common in springtime, guys, for you to start getting telesales for SEO companies as well as marketing companies in general. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll call and say that they're actually with Google, and they're not.
Right.
So just be on the lookout. If you get a robot call, you can, I think it's press 7 or press 9. And if neither one of those work, press star or press pound. And it actually removes your phone number from their list. So a lot of people believe like the do not call list, like that works. It does work. However, only on your cell phones. And it's only valid for 12 months from the date you register it to 12 months out. So every single year you have to re-put your cell phone number on that list. list. It does not work for businesses. You can try to get away with it from businesses. So like for us, we use our cell phones for our business line. However, if you have an actual business phone number, it does not work, right?
And then also with the with that do not call list or the exclusion, it does not prevent political phone calls.
Nope.
It does not prevent, I believe, charity donations. Nope. And then there was something else, and I can't remember.
It definitely doesn't cover firemen, police officers, something else. Like there's like a clause where they get access to everything.
Yep.
Right. So just be on the lookout, right? And we get that the phone calls are going to start to increase. It just happens. People realize, oh, spring, warm weather, people want to spend money. So just keep on the lookout for that as well. I'm trying to think, what else did we want to share with people? Make a backup. I don't think we said that last week, right? So make a backup of your websites. Yeah, change passwords. If you have time, do yourself a favor and actually Google your own company in a search engine. The reason for this is make sure that your company is actually being presented in the correct way. Make sure, one, that you show up online, right? So that's huge and important. But two, make sure that whenever you do a search for your company that you actually go and look at the images as well and find out what images Google is actually scraping and pulling that represent your business. Sometimes what can happen is not the best photos are out there for you as a business owner. If you own your own business, they might take a image from a bar or snag, if your social media profile is public, they'll snag an image on there that you may not want associated with your business, right? You do actually have control over those images. Yep. So just like realize that. But then in addition to it, there might be an area where you can actually like kind of enhance and amplify some images too, right? So like a tool that we use a lot and a lot of our clients use is Canva. It's like a free image editor to just pop some stuff in for social media and so forth. So if you do have images, maybe you pop your logos in, maybe you pop your phone number or contact forms, stuff like that. In addition to that, when you Google your business, make sure that you actually have relevant business hours. We actually came across a company that saw another company that put 24/7 as their office hours. In this business, while they do answer the phones 24/7, this business is actually based out of a home. So 24/7, one is not appropriate. But then in addition to that, Google actually puts some emphasis on business owners that have relevant business hours based on their industry, and then people that actually update them pretty often. So if you're not in the habit of adding your hours for the holidays, right? So like the major holidays, if you're not up to, like, maybe you decide to close a half day, go into your Google My Business profile and actually update those hours to let people know.
Right. And it'll depend on the industry. For example, like an artist, a painter. They might be at their place at 4:00 in the morning painting. I know plenty of artists that are up all night painting. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you should put up that you are a 24-hour business.
Yeah, the thought process is the hours are the actual time that somebody could walk through your door. Like, that's the thought process. So it's not even you answering your phone, right? It's when could somebody walk across the threshold and purchase something, right? So just, again, like there's multiple people that are testing multiple different things. What we can tell you through our testing is search engines, specifically Google, are paying attention to the hours. They are paying attention to the information in the Google My Business section. See if you can update it pretty often. If you're not going to work on 4th of July and you want to spend time with your family, why not update that on your profile? Yep, like, your end users are not going to be mad and upset. If you own a business and you're closed, or a salon or something like that, you best damn update those hours. Because if not, there's been some people that have gotten some heated comments and feedbacks and testimonials based on that.
Speaking of that, yesterday I watch different YouTube channels, and yesterday I was watching a sailing channel. So the channel is Sailing Omaha.
He watches so many different things.
I watch a ton of different sailing things. But
yesterday, can I tell him what you watched yesterday? Yesterday, he spent a chunk of time watching trains plow the railroads. Yeah. Like, that's what he watched. All different trains, and they go really, really fast, and the people on the inside, what are those things called? Engine drivers.
Engine drivers.
Whatever they're called. Whatever. Sorry if I offended you. But you could see them swaying back and forth because the snow is they're going so fast and the snow is so heavy as they plow through.
Yeah. Anyway. So yes, I watched trains, and then I also watched regular snowplows, different new tools that were coming out and stuff. Anyway, that's not the point. So I was watching Sailing Uma, and basically their thing was they were on their way to a part store for a new part for their engine. This was over New Year's week, so it was right at the beginning. But they had shown up to the place. They drove. They went 15 miles. They went in their dinghy. They got a cab. They got all the way up to the place because the hours on the thing said it was open. They got there. The doors were all locked.
Aww.
They then had to get back into their boat and then go the 15 miles back to their boat. So you're mentioning, updating hours, making sure it is.
Yeah.
That right there, it's not just a lost customer, but it's a lost reputation. The chance that they will ever go back to that business again, even in the future.
And here's the deal. The reality is like some people are not holding back on their verbiage on the internet.
On the reviews?
Yeah.
I don't hold back anymore.
I don't like that. Well, in either case, like hopefully you hold back a little bit because I think sometimes it's easy to pull the trigger and go like massively harsh, right? But I will tell you that in the world of internet marketing and the fact that people have the ability to voice an opinion, like even on Facebook for the Facebook reviews, they remove the stars and instead it's, will you recommend this place, yes or no, right? So it's getting so harsh that it's either a yes and leave a comment or it's no, leave a comment. There is no 1 to 5 stars anymore, right? So there's not even a middle ground to try and
which is always weird
represent.
Because, is it a 5 or is it a 1? Rarely have I ever used a 2 or a 4 or a 3 star. It's always, will you go back, yes or no? And I fully applaud Facebook for doing that.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's kind of like one of those, well, if the food was good, but maybe the service wasn't good, or maybe the atmosphere was good and the service was good, but the food was all right, it might be a 3.
But would you go back?
Well, that's not the question. They said, would you recommend this place? I could easily say, yes, I would recommend the food. You might just want to serve yourself. I don't know. Like, use the order kiosk instead. I have no idea. But either case, the point is, from a business owner's standpoint, just make sure that your information is updated. Make sure that it's updated for the ease and use of the end user from your client and prospect standpoint, right? And
update your business description. Add in, make sure that your city that you're serving is inside of your description. If you're serving states or national level, make sure you're stating that. And then there is a section inside of not Google Posts, but Google Business. There's a section in there for products and services. Yeah. And you can fill those out and get some extra SEO bonus points by doing that.
Absolutely. So a little bit of homework for you guys on your end if you're not already doing it. If you don't understand any of that, just feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you.
And we can do all the checks for you.
Happy to add you to our list of pretty cool peeps that we work with and work for. Yep.
So we can run through it and find out, is this done? Is this not done? What else needs to be done? So go to our website, bigredseo.com, and all the stuff is on there. So while I'm here, I'm going to throw up the other couple of addresses. Any of the other videos for us, it's over on YouTube. And of course, you've already found us here. But added that one in today.
Yeah.
Facebook.
And if you're really creative and you want, if you go to YouTube, Connor sprinkles in other images into some of the videos. So if you watch it again, you get a little bit more of a personality style, which is an added bonus for those who watch.
Yeah, I need to get better with the 4K video.
Yeah.
And
this one is way brighter than this one. It's kind of crazy how this is like my shirt's kind of like a mauve-y pink. I don't know if it's mauve-y pink to you guys. But over here, it's the hot pink traditional color that it normally is.
Well, also the brightness of my monitor's turned
Maybe.
down.
I don't know. There's a huge difference, though. But either way, we hope you guys have a great weekend. We hope that you're able to bust out the rest of the afternoon business-wise, be able to reflect and recharge this weekend. We will plan to see you next Friday at 2:30. We will try to be a little more organized with the theme and select it. Instead, today we just picked the theme of snow day, and so whatever came up, came up. So hopefully you got some tidbits. If you did, feel free to like our video as well as share it if you feel the calling for it. But in the meantime, we hope you enjoy whatever weather that you've got and whatever place that you're at.
All right, guys.
All right.
I guess she said everything, so I don't need to say anything else.
Okay. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye now.